Hey guys, welcome back to another deck profile. It's Kozmo again, and this time it's for post-docs and the September ban list. So let's get into it and see what I'm running for at least the first part of this format before the Pepe stuff comes out. So into the main deck. Alright, we got two Strawman. This card's great. I went to the regionals in Birmingham this weekend. I didn't do great because I sort of scrubbed a bit, but this guy definitely at 2 because the way I see it is if you can't get the OTK on the first turn, but you you open this and Gold Sark, you can set up a good first turn play, and you always want to have this guy in your deck as a teleport target alongside Farm Girl. Because obviously you can only do the bounce out effect once per turn. Anyway, his effect is you pay 500 and then you summon a card from the Kozmo monster from the banished zone, and it's destroyed in the end phase and its effects are negated. So it's really good. It sets up a lot of boards. I mean, I think he's a great card. Next we have standard 3 Farm Girl, your deck searcher, and just one of the best cards in the deck. Not much to be said about her. Want to know more? Look at my last deck profile, I guess. Then we go on to the level 4s. And I'm playing 1 Good Witch, 2 Wicked Witch. Good Witch, the Book of Moon effect's great, but you probably don't use it a huge amount in the game. Like, maybe you only ever use it once or twice. Once you go into her, you go into the banished, then she's like in the cycle with Kozmo Town, so you don't have to worry too much about pulling her. And then Wicked Witch is great because 1900 beat stick, the effect to pay 1000, it can't be destroyed is great, because if your opponent is pushing through your ships, and they have maybe an OTK on board, you just summon it in defense and pay 1000, and then it shuts down their OTK. So, she's really annoying. Just ridiculous card though. But yeah, I think 1 Good Witch is all you need at the moment, especially considering a lot of things going into the next format can't be targeted, like Magic Spectres and the bigger Kozmo stuff. So I think her relevance is going to be less. So, 2 Slip Rider. I'd like to play it at 3, but it's hard to justify 3. Obviously, it can still be targeted. It's the only ship that can be targeted in this deck, which kind of sucks. The Popper Spell Trap isn't always relevant. It's a great card, and it's rank 5, which is why I really want to play it more, because the rank 5s are really strong. And obviously, you don't. If you use both of these for a rank 5, then you've lost them for the game, so you can't recycle them really. Or not any real efficient way. I don't think there is a way to actually recycle it in this deck. But Slip Rider is great, but I don't think you can really run it at 3 and be fine. So it's unfortunate. I really like the card. Going on, we've got 3 Forerunner. Definitely at 3. Wouldn't play it at less. Card is still ridiculous. Can't be targeted. Gains life points. It's a level 7, so you can go into Red Ice Flare Metal to just burn your opponent out of the game if you can't quite make an OTK. And then it floats down into everything below, so ridiculous card, not much to say about it. Now the money card from the new set, 3 Dark Destroyer. This card is also insane. Can't be targeted, 3k body, very hard to get over. When it dies, it floats into a Forerunner, and when it's summoned, it destroys a monster. And it's not just your opponent's monster, it's also your own monster, which brings out some ridiculous combos. Like if you have a Forerunner on board, and then you E-Telly for like a Farm Girl or a Straw Man, then bring this out, pop this floats into a Slip Rider, and then it's silly. Or if you already have one of these on board, and you bring out another one, you pop this one, get a Forerunner, and then just so much damage. Or if you've strawmanned and got a Forerunner back, you can attack with a Forerunner, then pop it, and then attack. So the fact that its effects are negated is irrelevant. The card is so good. Just beyond good. Next, I will be maining in the next format to Cyber Dragon. I didn't want to main this at the regionals because I think a lot of people are running Chimera Tech in the extra deck, and if you leave this up and you can't get rid of it, it basically means you can't go into your ships because they'll just use this and your ships to make a Chimera Tech and wipe your board, and then they'll kill you from there pretty much. But I think like the next format is going to be a bit odd, and I think having a stick is definitely strong. Also, just it makes the rank 5s easier to get into, like, and without having to expend your slip riders. Cyber Dragon, it's if you ask anyone who plays the deck, they'll say the card is ridiculous. Also, the mirror is incredibly relevant at the moment, so you just slam down a Cyber Dragon and steal their Dark Destroyer, basically. I'm still going to be maining. To be honest, I was debating about taking this out. We don't have Jurighetto yet, which sucks, in Europe anyways. But even though we're playing Darks, I'm only actually playing 5 Darks now. And Honest is always just a relevant threat. Like, you can sit on a Light Monster, you can sit on a Farm Girl, you can sit on a Forerunner, you can sit on a Good Witch, you can even sit on a Strawman. And if they tack into it, you have the option of either bouncing out if it's a small one, or just dropping the Honest, and then getting real salty. Also, 1900 set is just, it's strong in the mirror because if they swing in with a Good Witch, it won't destroy, and then it takes away that sort of, they have to then get over it again. I mean, it's you don't want to set it, but sometimes you have to. Just the deck does brick a bit, and it's kind of annoying. I lost my last game yesterday because I bricked really, really hard, and there was just nothing I could do. The last monster is 1 Ghost Ogre, Snow Rabbit. It's E-Tele target for a tuner, which is great because sometimes you want to make synchro plays. Also, the fact that it can disrupt pendulum scales is really relevant. So if someone Luster Pendulum, Draco Slayers, or whatever it's called, you can pop their thing. I think they still have to pop the other card as a cost, so they lose their scale from just this card, and they don't get the effect, I think. I might be wrong on that, though. But, yeah, at 1, it's great. 1 in the main, anyway. I'll put a 2nd in the side. On to the spells. We have 3 Kozmo Town. Card is OP and silly, but it clogs, which is the worst. If you open 2 Kozmo Town and draw into a 3rd, like, you probably lose the game, which is, like, such a shame. I was running a build where I had 2 Kozmo Town, a Terraforming, and a Chicken Race to try and get around the fact that it clogs, but then if you run out of Kozmo Towns, then yeah, it searches when it dies, but yeah, if you run out, then it's just not good. Hopefully they might do something about that in the next set, maybe. I doubt it, though. The card is too ridiculous, though, not to run at 3. Mulliganing, trying to dig deep for an out to something, maybe, or just adding back from Banished. Essentially, if you're middle of the game and you've got a load of cheap monsters in Banished, you've got Farm Girls and Strawmans Banished, you can essentially get 2 draws for the turn by drawing for turn, then adding back for 200 life points, shuffling it back in, and drawing another. It's a silly card. Silly card. But, yeah, cloggy as hell. Then we have, obviously, the 3 Emergency Teleport. Can't play the deck without it. It's too good. Not much to say. Summons a Psychic from deck. Next, we play personally my favourite card is the Wizard of Oz. It's reasoning. It's stupid fast. At the regionals, if you slam this down turn 1, they didn't know what you were playing. Like, they were like, do I call a 1 or do I call an 8? Because people knew that Riesling was in Kozmo. Like, obviously the hype had gotten out just before the regionals, which was a shame. But if they called a 1, it was a free monster. And considering half the deck is monsters, you're likely to hit 1 without milling too many spells or traps. But even then, like, there's only like maybe 2 or 3 targets in each level that they could hit, and then there's like 5 other levels that you can. So it's ridiculous. If you hit a small monster off it, you can bounce it out. It's free monster. Like, so a lot of times I'll play this. I'll mill an emergency teleport, and then I'll hit like farm girl. It's like, well, I basically just used an emergency teleport and an upstart goblin without giving them life points, sort of. It's silly. I'm now playing 2 Lance. I had dropped this from my list yesterday. In all fairness, I don't think I ever came into a situation where I needed Lance yesterday. But going into Magispectors, you definitely want to have the Lance. Because they can disrupt your plays, and you need to get into a big ship versus them, otherwise you'll lose. So, but if you get into the big ship, you win. That's how that matchup goes, from my experience. But 2 Lance, it also helps you, your farm girl swing in to get the search going. One-off spells, I'm playing 1 instant fusion. I was playing 2 yesterday, but I don't think I ever really resolved it. It never showed up at the right time, and the only time I did use it, I used it twice to good effect. Once I made a Dweller in the mirror matchup, and that helped me out a lot, but the guy had triple max C, so what can you do? And I also used it to just bring out an Odin to tribute for a Slip Rider to pop a Floodgate. But it's instant fusion. I think it's too much of a power play to cut. So, Goldsark, by far one of the best main deck cards in combination with Strawman. There were so many times where I went second, I had an E-Telly, a Strawman, and Goldsark, and it was game. Because you Goldsark the Dark Destroyer, you summon the Strawman, you Strawman back the Dark Destroyer, you swing, you E-Telly for a Farm Girl, you swing, and you get another Dark Destroyer, and then you float the Dark Destroyers into other stuff. Card is ridiculous, and the worst situation is you have stuff in banished, you don't have much in hand, you Goldsark a Kozmo Town and you get it in 2 turns, like, or you Goldsark an out, for instance, if you think you can survive that long. Regeki, just playing the 1 Regeki, not maining the Dark Holes anymore. I don't even know if I'm going to side the Dark Holes, because Magispectors, it's a dead card versus, and I know at least at my locals and at regionals and whatnot, Magispectors are going to be big. And I opened Regeki Dark Hole Torrential Tribute versus Magispectors, and they were dead. I lost because I opened those cards, and it was done. So just the 1 Regeki, because you do need some kind of board clearing against other decks. Next we have the last spell, Limiter Removal. Card is nuts. If you have a Dark Destroyer and a Forerunner on board, you flip it. That's game. Like, well, it's not quite game, but it's a ridiculous amount of damage. To the point where I think this stole about 3 or 4 games for me. Just by swinging into a guy, they're like, okay, it's fine. I can live this attack, then I go Limiter Removal, and it's like, oh, well, I died. So, yeah, that card's silly, and it's obviously at 1 for a reason. Then we go into the traps. I'm maining 4 traps. Vanities, because it's vanities. Not much to say about it. You flip it and then your opponent can't play. Warning, because warning, you flip it and your opponent can't play. And then these 2 cards. Swarming Mirror Force. I picked these up yesterday. They're going up in value like crazy, and I thought, well, I'm gonna need them. Like, I held off on them for so long, and I just sort of had to buy them. My friend hooked me up with a really good deal for 3 of them, and I was like, look, I'll just have to take them. Versus Magispectors again, you send them back to the hand, like Kozmo, anything, just gets it out of the way, and you don't have to worry about it. But it's definitely going to be a relevant card coming up. And the worst comes to worst, you side it out. But there's nothing really that benefits from stuff being in the hand anymore. Necros being gone, like, yeah. So that's the main deck, 40 cards. We'll go into this extra deck, though you don't really go into the extra deck, let's be honest. Chimera Tech. It's Chimera Tech. Cyber Dragon is in your main, so you play it. It's for the mirror. Clee aren't relevant anymore, so it used to be Announcer Towers, but you didn't. It's for the mirror, pretty much. 1 Panzer Dragon, because we play Instant Fusion, and then Instant Fusioning a Panzer Dragon with a Cyber Dragon or a Slip Rider is an instant rank 5. And they're also under Skill Drain, because we don't play any alts to Floodgates in the main apart from Slip Rider, and Slip Rider can't kill Skill Drain or lose a turn really. You Instant Fusion this, then end phase, it dies, goes to the graveyard, and then blows up the Floodgate. Noden, because we're playing Instant Fusion, bring back a Snow Rabbit for a Synchro play, bring back a level 4, yada yada yada. Xyz, play a Castel, because Castel's great. Spins back Wicked Witch after she's paid to not die. Can also spin back like Pendulum Scales and Castel. Dweller, the mirror matchup, you need Dweller, because if your opponent can't float, then it puts them at a severe disadvantage. And if you get their ships to stay in the graveyard, they probably can't get them back. Direwolf, this replaced Exciton, just because I don't know what else to play at the moment. This might well come out, and I don't think I'll ever really go into it unless I'm really fearing a single back row and I have an Instant Fusion and a 4 in graveyard. This has gone in, Durandal. I think with the Cyber Dragons, it's a really strong play if you don't have the OTK, and you can get into it, because you sit with this and Kozmo Town on board and just go, come at me. Or if you make it before you swing in, and they have like the Storming Mirror Force, you just go, nope, that's now popping my Kozmo Town, and I get a search. Thank you very much. Also, if you're against a deck like Magispectors, and they've pendulumed out, they searched 3 cards, you go, put them back in the deck. I think this is going to be a really good card coming up in the upcoming format, at least for Kozmo. We play the 1 Pleiades, because spinning cards is great. A lot of times I'll make this in defense, and then I'll spin a card, and then swing in case I'm fearing a Mirror Force, and then at least you've still got this to spin back something next turn, which is just relevant. So then of course, because we're playing 5s, the Gaia Charger, you overlay it and you swing. That goes in combination with the Volcasaurus, which should have gone before this, but I got the order wrong. Volcasaurus is not as irrelevant now because things can't be targeted or destroyed, or I say things, Kozmo and Magispectors. But you got to have it there, because if you're not against them, you can burn people to death. And these two in combination just generates OTKs. The last 7 we play is Red Eyes Flare. Sometimes you might be 500 to 1000 damage off an OTK, or your opponent will be in a bad, you've burnt them down to the last, dregs of their life. And then if you go into this, if you have a Forerunner on board, and you can get a Dark Destroyer out, Dark Destroyer destroys itself, gets a Forerunner, then you make this, and yeah. Synchros, Clearing. Yeah, I guess this probably could come out, but I'm not sure, because obviously it was it was in here for Necros, basically to stop getting trished. but I guess it could work against Dark Destroyer. I don't know. I can't remember if it targets. I might be wrong. I won't read it now. Yeah, it's. I think you can. There's a lot of situations where you can sit on this and just be like, well, you've got to work your way around it. Yeah, so it's made with a 4 and a 3 anyway. So it's a Nodon Ghost Rabbit target basically. Black Rose, blow up the field. I think that's going to be pretty good. Pendulums and whatnot. Obviously, Magic Spectres don't get hit, but I think having a field nuke available now that Exciton is gone is like strong, because it's the only card you can have to punish people who overextend now, realistically. One Scarlight Red Dragon Archfiend. I think this card is really good. I think all these cards are really good. In the mirror, if you can make this, and they have a Dark Destroyer on board, you blow up cards, you kill Dark Destroyer, you burn them, and then you can swing over the Forerunner, which is really good. And if you have other ships on your board, you blow them up, burn them for 500 for each, and then you float them into other stuff. So I think this is really good. It's just this having to find the situations where you can make it. The extra deck, you don't, as I say, you don't really go into it as Kozmo, but it's nice to have the options. And then the last one I have is Star Eater. Probably never make it, but it was somewhat of a Towers out. It's made with Dark Destroyer and Ghost Rabbit. Yeah, 3/2, and they can't respond to your attack is relevant, because I mean it's bigger than Dark Destroyer, but it can be targeted, I guess. So, but you just sit there swinging, and yeah. So that's the main and extra deck. There are a couple of cards I will say. I won't show you my whole side deck because it's not really built, but Time Space is going to be relevant. I would like to work it into the main deck if I can, but I don't know what I'd drop. Fairy Wind is going to be 3 in the side because you need to out Floodgates and Pendulum Scales. Definitely Triple Decree. Well, Triple Decree. You stop like people playing their traps, which is relevant. And the last card I will say, which is might come as a bit of a surprise to people, but Skill Drain. That was the card of the tournament yesterday. I was against 2 Tellarknight players, and flipping the Skill Drain just destroyed them. And I think Tellarknights are going to be quite relevant in the next meta because they didn't really get hit on the ban list, and they can run Anti-Spell Fragrance and lock out Pendulums. So, yeah, Skill Drain. You don't really care that your effects are negated on board when your opponent can't play, because you can still banish to summon ships because it banishes as a cost and then is no longer affected by Skill Drain. So that's a really great ruling for Cosmos. But then you just keep sticking them until they die, pretty much. And you'll probably side in a Fairy Wind alongside this. If you weren't siding in Fairy Winds, like just because you want to be able to pop it at some point if you think it's going badly for you. And then at the very worst, it's 300 burn to them. But yeah, Rescue Cat Duelist told me to play this, and I definitely think that was the shout. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say about this deck profile. Definitely the one. Until Pepe comes out, and even then I'm not entirely sure, because they won't be at full strength, but I'll definitely be taking some kind of variant of this to YCS Lille in December. Yeah, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.